I've been thinking recently about how the past 2.5 years of Space Engineers updates have been teasing and leading to the next one, the newly revealed Contact update. An update focusing on adding new PvE and endgame options to the game. To explain what I mean, I thought it would be fun to go back and look at some old teasers, but with a twist. We're going to watch my videos on these teasers, and whilst we're at it, we're also going to look at how accurate my predictions for those teasers are. Let's begin. So, we're going to start with this video, confirmed features coming to Space Engineers, which I released shortly after the release of Warfare 2.
I've said a couple times in the streams over the last months that this could be the greatest year for Space Engineers ever.
So, let's start with this. I think about this often. So this guy here is Zockley, he's one of the community managers at Keen Software House, and he said this on the release of Warfare 2, which is February 2022. We also received Most Wanted that year, which admittedly was also another good update like Warfare 2, but we did not receive another update until almost a year later, when we received the Automatons update. Now, there are obviously factors to this. I think Automatons was supposed to release that same year. There was a certain global event that happened that might have delayed them, but still, it's something I think about.
In November 2015, Keen Software House did something many players thought they never could do.
Oh god, I sound so bad.
They added fully realised planets to Space Engineers.
Something I think about often is how adamant the developers were that they didn't want to add planets to Space Engineers, and I think that was because Space Engineers was supposed to be in the same universe as Minor Wars, and in Minor Wars all the planets in the solar system were destroyed, so I assume that was the reason, and they've since changed their mind on that for better gameplay. I don't know, it's just very interesting.
Now I'm going to split up everything they've mentioned into 4 distinct categories, starting with
Community Update, which was the Most Wanted update, and it might be one of my favourite updates to the game. It was a free update that added a bunch of new blocks to the game that the community had been asking for a long time. You know what, they should really do another one of these, a Most Wanted 2, because it was a really cool thing to get at the time.
From the examples you've seen here, it sounds like the update will mainly focus on adding new blocks and some quality of life improvements and won't be such a large overhaul like Warfare 2 was.
That's true, it was a minor update, it only added new blocks, no features. And I'm going to add 1 to the 0 being correct counter.
Additional things we know that are on the devs' radar are allowing you to project and world up subgrids for the more advanced engineers among you.
So as far as I know, this is something they actually did look at. They actually looked at adding the welding of multi-grid projections. So we could be getting this soon, although considering it's such a requested feature, you'd have thought we'd have had it by now. They've definitely looked at it, I remember them mentioning it multiple times on stream.
And additions to planets, although they didn't really go into detail of what these could be.
Oh, I want to find out what the source of that is now. Additions to planets. That has to be the new global encounters, right? We know that they were planning this far back, so potentially? NPCs were a big topic for the last 2 Space Engineers updates, and also for the upcoming Contact update. I'll see what the video has to say first before I say anything else.
NPCs do kind of exist already in Space Engineers, but they don't really do much. But don't worry, Keen is aware of this, and it seems that they are working on it right now.
But I think it needs to be done in a specific way that is specific for Space Engineers, and because in Space Engineers you can build things, so I think it would be much better if you can actually build, your friends or NPCs.
So this obviously ended up being, it was called Grid AI at the time, but it ended up being the Automatons updates with the new AI blocks. Do you know, in hindsight, this quote from Marek perfectly explains how the AI blocks will work, but at the time we had no idea. I know in this video and future videos you speculate a lot about what building NPCs means, and we were wrong on that. But honestly, I think the way the AI is implemented with the AI blocks is great. I think that's perfect for Space Engineers. Just felt like we need more of it at the time. Obviously we're getting that with the next update, Contact, but it's just been so long since then, man.
But from this, it sounds like the devs are planning on adding NPCs that work with the player and build and explore and all these kind of things.
Might have slightly misinterpreted that, 1 point for the wrong predictions.
Imagine flying a fleet of ships around the planet with your AI buddies.
That did actually get added. You can fly a fleet of ships around with your AI buddies.
Or having a shipyard that builds ships with all the AI drones welding for you.
That you can do.
When you have miniguns, when you have an assault cannon, you need something, in between to mostly deal with small grids and, characters, or, well, I'm not going to say anything other than that.
At the time, this clearly confused me because they spoke about characters before, so I assumed that this was going to be some sort of character, maybe a new type of enemy like a spider or a dog. But clearly now, this is talking about the new encounters that were coming as part of Contact.
Now, we don't know when this will be added to the game.
Much, much later. And what a long year that was. It's funny, Exploration and Endgame are still things we're talking about now.
The lack of endgame content and exploration in Space Engineers is my personal gripe with the game.
Still is.
There's no reason to build a jump drive and travel to other planets as there's nothing you need from them, nor is there anything there to find.
Hopefully this changes with Contact. We'll find out very soon.
If I had to guess, this would probably tie in with the implementation of NPCs, as with friendly NPCs comes neutral NPCs and hostile ones.
Okay, I was 100% right there. I can have 1 point for that.
In an ideal world, I'd like NPCs, and bear in mind this is on quotes on my script, quests
Still stand by this.
for you to do. These quests,
I don't think this is coming in Contact, but I hope this is something that comes in the future.
I personally want something that's a bit more in depth than random crashed ships or pirate bases, as the game already has this and mods already add this, and it's a bit basic, let's be honest.
Still feel the same. It's the reason I don't use any encounter mods, because it just adds wrecks everywhere. Even if it adds NPCs, those NPCs eventually run out of hydrogen or energy or whatever and just fall out of the sky, and it's just a wreck for you to salvage. It's just effectively free stuff lying around.
As for endgame content, again, we really don't know anything about this.
Ender Dragon.
First of all, the game needs to have some sort of higher tier thrusters, gyros and reactors, etc.
Yep.
I would suggest that these upgrades are locked behind exploration and the quests I mentioned earlier.
Yep. Oh, 100% right. 100% right on all of those things. Zero predicts Prototech 2.5 years early.
As exploration and questing gets more difficult, you would be able to build larger and more powerful ships to accommodate this.
Oh, I was 100% correct.
This would all lead to some kind of final encounter with a you win scenario.
Now, we don't know if this is coming, but everything else I've been correct about so far is all coming in the next update.
Like most people, my playthroughs of Space Engineers end when I get bored.
You wouldn't believe how many of my videos I randomly just whip out Starkiller Base and just shoot whatever I'm looking at.
So, water.
Okay, let's clarify that water is never coming to Space Engineers. It will definitely be in the sequel, but it is 100% not coming in Space Engineers.
Marek Rosa, the CEO of Keen Software House, did a live stream the other day where they spoke about Keen Software's proprietary engine called V-Rage, but specifically V-Rage 3, and the presentation focused on the addition of water to the engine.
So again, it's adding water to the engine, or water physics to the engine, not to Space Engineers. They are not going to port Space Engineers as it is to V-Rage 3. They are going to build something new for V-Rage 3. We're going to do a video in the future where we talk about Space Engineers 2 and V-Rage 3, so like and subscribe if you want to see that. But the basic gist is, this engine is being built from the ground up to do all the things that Space Engineers currently can't, and this is one of those things that definitely cannot be done.
To compare, the water mod for Space Engineers only adds a static layer of water.
I would be interested, this is a thing I think about often. Would people actually want water if it was just as a static layer around the planet like the water mod is? Because personally, it's a cool gimmick, but it's not that satisfying really. I'd rather have the voxels if I'm honest.
With the recent copyright of the name Roman Engineers by Keen Software House.
This is something I think about as well. Roman Engineers. The fact that they have a copyright on that is so weird. My thought always was, because they're adding water physics in the new engine, they would do something with aqueducts or something the Romans are famous for building. But there's not really much more to speculate on than that, because, you know, we have water and we have Roman engineers and that's it.
Especially as they've already started development on a new engine that includes features that players would definitely want and pay for.
So I definitely think Space Engineers 2 is on the way, but they've said development of the V-Rage 3 engine will take a minimum of 5 years, and that doesn't include developing a new game on top of that, so it'll be a long time before we see it. In the meantime, they keep updating Space Engineers, and honestly, I'm happy with that, as the last few updates, and hopefully the next one, have been some of the best updates the game has ever received. I hope that looking at this video has shown you that even as far back as the release of Warfare 2, they were teasing us for things that they would add in the Automatons update and will also be adding in the Contact update coming soon. And also, presumably, whatever comes out after that. I actually intended to go over some more past teasers, but I might have accidentally spent over an hour talking about this one, so that'll be fun for me to edit. Anyway, let me know if you enjoyed this. I'll definitely be going back and covering the rest of the past teasers, but depending on the reception to this one, I might just make it exclusive to members if no one is interested. To show me that you want more videos like this one, like this video and subscribe to this channel, and also join this channel and become a member like these beautiful people: Clone, Briar Rose, The Wildcat, Splurgeburger, Tarantula Fudge, Taurus 1834, Hamish Drowner, Penguin, The Whiskman and Summit.